So the subject of today's talk is with respect to the Bhagavad Gita. How does one manage the stress that one experiences in everyday life? Because everyone experiences stress to some extent. In your workplace, in your home, in society where you roam around. In all these places, you experience stress. So what is stress and how can one deal with it? And what does the Bhagavad Gita have to say about it? Stress is actually a very necessary thing in life. If there was no stress, we would be sleeping all day and we would have nothing to do and the world would come to a halt. There is what we call as eustress, EU stress. So eustress is that stress which is necessary to activate us and get us engaged in doing the tasks that lie at hand, that do our duty, to perform your job, to engage in performing the activities that are expected from you. For that, it is necessary to have a certain amount of eustress. There is also what we know as distress, D-I-S, stress. So distress is the overextension of eustress. So rather than helping us to become active and alert and engaged in the work at hand, distress can paralyze us and prevent us from doing any work. It can activate us to run away from the problem. And there are many reasons for this, but essentially the reason starts right inside of us. So the battle for stress is the battle that occurs inside of us. Outside, there may be many things, but they may or may not cause stress depending on your interpretation of the events. When Krishna led Arjuna on the battlefield between the two armies, Arjuna saw both the armies, but he was such a brave warrior, he was such a skillful warrior, that there was no question of his becoming afraid. So we have to understand that the problem was not physical fear or fear of the war. What was Arjun's fear? Arjun's fear was the fear that by killing all his relatives, all his cousins, his guru, his grandfather, he would begin a chain of reactions, and that chain of reaction would result in tremendously bad karma for him. So essentially, he was terrified of the consequences of his actions, which would lead to immense and unimaginable suffering for him. This is why he was overwhelmed and confused. In fact, if you want to go to the Bhagavad Gita clearly points out in text, chapter 1, text 29. Vepatuscha sharira me roma harshascha jayate. My whole body is trembling, he says. Vepatuscha sharira me, my body is trembling, my body is shaking like a leaf. It is shaking like someone with Parkinsonism. He is having tremors, and not just tremors in his hands, but he's having tremors all over his body. His whole body is shaking with fright. Not with fright, but with stress. Fright of the consequences of the action, not the fight or the battle in front of him. Roma harshascha jayate. My hair on my body, it is standing on end. This is horripilation. My hair is standing on end. My body is shaking. I am unable to hold my bow Gandiva. It is slipping from my hand. Gandivam Shram Sate Hastat. It is slipping from my hand. My bow is slipping from my hand. Tvak Chaiva Paridhayate. And he says, my skin is burning. My skin is burning. Na cha shaknomya avastatum brahmativa cha me manah nimittani cha pashyami viparitani keshava. O Krishna, O killer of the demon Keshi, I am unable to stand any longer. His knees have become weak. His knees are unable to bear the weight of the body. I am forgetting myself. My mind is reeling. I foresee only evil, O killer of Keshi. This is the state of Arjuna at the time of the Bhagavad Gita. So essentially, you have to understand that Arjuna was in the most extreme form of stress. You can say he was in a state of nervous collapse. Psychiatrists may call it that he was suffering from panic disorder, which resulted from both his anxiety as well as his depression that took place on seeing the battlefield before him and seeing the consequences of the actions he was about to perform. He wants to just simply run away from the situation. Ever felt like this? Ever felt terrified of an examination? Ever felt terrified of a job interview? Ever felt terrified at any occasion in your life? Then you can identify with Arjuna. The root of all stress is the concept of I. At the root of all fear, at the root of all depression, at the root of all dysphoria, there is the concept of self. I am. You begin to think of I, me, myself. I, such and such name. I, with this autobiographical self which is contained within me, is going to experience tremendous suffering. So the root is I. And if we can deal with the I, we can deal with anything. If you can't deal with the I, you cannot deal with anything at all. So we must deal with I, because if we can handle the I, every task is possible for us. Every challenge is food for us. Delicious food for us. So the entire essence of the Bhagavad Gita is to remember God and forget self. I'm saying this very clearly. The purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to remember God and forget self. With the absence of self, with the absence of thoughts of self, with the absence of the importance of self, you attain everlasting peace. Krishna, seeing Arjuna in the state of extreme collapse, he also gives him a reflection which I have covered in several sessions on what is Sthita Prajna. Dukheshu anudvignamana sukheshu vigat spriha. Vita raga bhaya krodha stitadi muni uchyate. A person who is not disturbed when there's cause for fear. A person who is not depressed when there's cause for depression. One who is not excited when there's cause for joy. One who is free from attachment, fear, and anger. Such, Krishna says, is the sage of steady wisdom. So Krishna holds a mirror to him and he says, look in this mirror. You are in a state of collapse. Your hair is standing on end. Your skin is burning. Your body is shaking. Your knees cannot bear your weight. Your knees are about to collapse. The bow is slipping from your hand. This is the state you are in. And do what I tell you, and you will attain this state of Sthita Prajna. There will be no depression when there's cause for sorrow. There will be no excitement when there's cause for joy. Follow me and you will become free from attachment, fear, and anger. You will become a sage of steady wisdom. So very, very clearly, Krishna is clearly explaining to Arjuna that this is where you are and this is the state you will attain. Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahitah sitoshana sukha dukeshu tathaman apmanayo. For one who has conquered his mind, Krishna tells Arjuna, God is already reached. For him, heat and cold, joy and sorrow, honor and dishonor, they're all the same. There is only one enemy that all of us have. The rest are not enemies of ours. You think you have some enemies, that they are not your enemies. There is only one enemy. And that enemy is your own uncontrolled mind. Your own uncontrolled mind is your enemy. And the root of that mind is the sense of self. And if you can conquer that sense of self, if you can transcend that sense of self, if you can suspend that sense of self, if you can annihilate that sense of self, if you can surrender that sense of self to God, by remembering God and forgetting self, you will become free from the mind. You will attain Jivan Mukti. You will become a Sthita Prajna. You will be able to perform in this world as an expert. Suchir Daksham, you will be pure at heart and you will be functioning as an expert within the world. So what does Bhagavad Gita tell you? Bhagavad Gita clearly tells Arjuna, forget about all other philosophies you have learned. Forget about this law of karma. I will free you from all sin, never fear. Yatha idhamsi samido agnir bhasmasat kurute Arjuna jnana agni dagda karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Just like fire converts firewood into ashes, I will convert all your sins into ashes, never fear. This knowledge that I give you, this realization that I give you, will destroy all your sins into ashes. But Krishna, what about karma? But Krishna, what about this? But Krishna, I have heard this. So Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami masuchaha. Abandon all other philosophies you have heard. Abandon all other religions you have heard about. Abandon all other instructions you have heard. Surrender to me alone and I will save you, never fear. Api chedasi papebhyo sarvebhyo papakritama sarvam jnana plavaineva vrijinam santarishya. Even if you are the greatest sinner amongst all sinners, even if you are the Nobel Prize winner amongst sinners, even then seated on this boat of transcendental knowledge, you will cross over this ocean of suffering. And what is that knowledge? Krishna explains. Yaj jnatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava sarva bhutani asheshani drakshasya atmanotamai. That all beings lie within me, they're in me and they're mine. So the realization of the soul, realization of your true identity, and disengagement from the false identity of I, me, myself, as the mind, body, and ego, is the way to become free. As long as you think that you are this mind, as long as you think that you are this intelligence, as long as you think you are this physical body, you are tied up with this I and you are tied up with suffering. But the moment you stand apart and you discover that you are none of these things, that Prakriti, Bhumi, Apo, Nalo, Vayur, Kham, Mano, Buddhi, Revacha, Ahankara, Ityame, Binna Prakriti, Ashtada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego, all these, they are part of the inferior energy of God, that is Prakriti. And they will handle their own issues because God is controlling them. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam hetuna nena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Krishna says, I am controlling Prakriti. I am controlling your mind, your intelligence, your body made of earth, water, fire, air, ether. All that is under my control. Why are you worried? You are part of my superior energy. Aparyam itasvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabhao yayedam daryate jagat. You are part of my superior energy, which is sustaining and maintaining creation. Prakriti, I control, God says. You surrender unto me and you will cross beyond the sufferings of Prakriti. Daivi yasa gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. This Prakriti which you are simply struggling with Prakriti. Who is asking you to struggle with Prakriti? You struggle with your mind, you struggle with your intelligence, you struggle with your body, you struggle with other minds and other bodies in this world. But who are you? You cannot control this world. You cannot control even your own Prakriti. Mama evanso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashastendriyani prakritistani karshati. You are an ounce, you are a fragment, you are an infinitesimal fragment of me, and you are struggling to control your own mind and senses. But he says, my energy, my Prakriti is divine. You cannot overcome it. But mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. But if you surrender to me and allow me to act on this Prakriti, yes, even your own Prakriti, which you imagine is your own, then by allowing God to act through that Prakriti, you will transcend all peace. This is very, very important. You think you are doing something, but actually you are doing nothing. It is Prakriti that is doing everything. And who controls Prakriti? Krishna controls Prakriti. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudatma kartamiti manyate. Krishna says, the foolish living entity, the foolish individual soul imagines he is the doer of all activities. But actually it is Prakriti that is doing all this. And who is controlling Prakriti? Krishna is controlling Prakriti. There is not a blade of grass that moves without God's consent. So says the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Tena vina tranam apina chalati. Without God's consent, not a blade of grass can move towards the left side or the right side. Only by God's consent, everything can happen. Because God controls all of Prakriti. Everything that you see, smell, hear, taste, touch, all these are controlled by God. And therefore, you should have faith that whatever God is doing for the best. God is acting through you. You only need to become his instrument. It's like the flute. Krishna always has the flute to his lips. And Krishna plays a tune through that flute. Be that flute. Be that Murali. Be that Venu. But Krishna cannot play the flute if it is full of itself. If it is a rod of wood, who can play through it? So first, that rod of wood has to empty itself. And when it empties itself, then the Lord can place his lips on you and play the tune that he desires. So the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to teach you how to empty yourself, so that by emptying yourself, God can act through you. And by acting through you, he can fulfill the purpose of your creation. Why were you born? What were you meant to accomplish? God is acting through you as you empty yourself. And never think that you are Prakriti. Do not think that I am doing this. You do nothing. God does everything. It's clearly mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that karya karanam kartritve hetur prakriti uchyate. Purusha sukha dukhanam bhoktritva hetur uchyate. Everything is performed by Prakriti. But the individual soul, because he imagines he is doing it, he suffers and he enjoys. Purusha prakriti stohi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan. Karanam guna sangasya sada sadyoni janmasu. And so the individual soul roams through the universe, coming in contact with different types of Prakriti. Good Prakriti, bad Prakriti, Prakriti that is of one variety and Prakriti that is of another variety. And therefore, the individual soul, thinking that he is that Prakriti, keeps on suffering. He enjoys a little, suffers more. And this world, because you identify with Prakriti, and Prakriti is always changing. Because it's always changing, and because it never lasts, what happens is that you begin to experience suffering because you are attached to something that does not last. Krishna says this is a dukhalayam ashashvatam. This is a anityam asukham lokam. This is a place of misery where nothing lasts. This is a place where you cannot find lasting happiness. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukha doshanu darshanam. The more you are attached to Prakriti, the more you experience birth and death and old age and disease and fault and misfortune and unhappiness. Forget your Prakriti. Forget your sense of self. Remember God and forget self. And when you remember God and forget self, spontaneously, naturally, effortlessly, you will do the things that your body, mind have been trained for. And God will act through you just like He blows His tune through the flute. And He will use you as a flute and play the tune, which will be the purpose of your creation. So the most important thing you should remember is you are the soul. You are not Prakriti. And as long as you think you are Prakriti, you are experiencing suffering. You think you are the doer, therefore you suffer. You understand that God is the doer and all suffering ceases. God is controlling Prakriti and He is controlling your Prakriti. Therefore, He is acting through you and He is acting through people around you. Because you are of the illusion that you are doing things, you are responsible, these consequences result from what I am doing, you suffer and you experience more and more suffering. Your Prakriti only needs to be programmed to act. And it should act on the principle of Purusharth or effort. So give full opportunity for your Purusharth, give full opportunity for Prakriti to act in the most energetic, vigorous, expert way possible. Remember what is behind you in your past is Prarabdha. What is lying in front of you now is Purushartha. What is lying ahead of you is a dream. The mind clings to self, therefore give up self. The mind clings to the past, so give up the past. The mind clings to the future, forget about the future. Focus on the present moment. Peace of mind should become your priority, which you will attain when you focus on God and forget self. The best way to do that is to engage your Prakriti in action. And as your Prakriti engages in action and God acts through you, you will find that you will experience tremendous peace. Psychologists call it the stage of flow. You can read about it. In Flow, the state of optimal psychological experience by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. That is, through action, you attain peace of mind. And this is what is the lesson of the Bhagavad Gita. And if you are not acting, if you are waiting, if there is nothing immediate to be done, engage in chanting the name of God. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yagna nam japo yagnosmi. Of all forms of sacrifice, I am the chanting of the holy name. So either engage that mind in working as an offering to God. Don't think of yourself as a doer. Perform your actions as an offering to God Himself, because God Himself is performing the action through Prakriti. So do all actions with the attitude of Om Tat Sat. Every action should be a flower offered at His feet. At the end of the day, pick up all those flowers and put them around his neck in a garland. And the heavier that garland, the lighter your heart. The lighter that garland, the heavier your heart. You will experience it. You try it and you will experience it. Every action has a flower at his feet with the words, Om Tat Sat. Oh Lord, this is for you. This is not for me. And when you are not engaged in work, when you are idle, physically or mentally, when there is no task at hand, take up the task of chanting God's name. Because by chanting God's name, God will dance on your tongue. Like Krishna danced on the head of Kaliya, the snake, he will dance on your mind. And all the poison of stress, all the poison of anxiety, all the poison of depression will come out of Kaliya's mouth. And your mind will become silent, placid, still. Krishna is person who is there in your heart and he is guiding you onward towards your destiny. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridaya deshe arjuna tishtati brahmyan sarva bhutani yantrarudani maya. He says, I am driving you onward towards your destiny. You are merely seated in a machine made of material energy. Tam eva sharanam gacha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapshashi shashvatam. So surrender unto him and you will find peace, perfection, the supreme destination. You're seated in a beautiful car and your driver is the divine charioteer. Just relax. He's taking you onward towards your destiny. And you will reach peace, perfection, and the supreme destination. So forget about self, forget about the past, forget about the future. So no self, no past, no future. Focus on the present. Keep engaged in the present. Be engaged in a task. That task is to do your duty. Let your Prakriti do its duty as directed by God. You are not the doer. You are the observer. The minute you think I am the doer, the minute you think what happened in my past, what will happen in my future, Gaya comes in. Finished. Then stress will start. Have faith that whatever is happening is the best. It is happening by God's will. And because it is happening by God's will, it is perfect. Your life can never be understood by looking forward. Your life will only be understood when you have forgotten yourself and become absorbed in God. Your life will not be understood by looking backwards or forwards. Your life will be lived in the present moment by remaining absorbed in God in forgetfulness of self. Either by performing your tasks and your duties at hand, or by chanting God's name to silence and tranquilize your mind. So I'll pause here. There must be many questions that you all have. Please feel free to ask me. If this topic is not clear yet, we can devote another session to it. Yes, any questions?
Yes, Dr. Shantanu. Sorry. So, Dr. Shantanu, a question that we have is, I'll read out the question. What is the easiest way to distinguish between necessary stress and distress? How does one realize that the self is becoming dominant, leading to distress?
See, to understand what is distress and stress, and to understand prarabdha and purusharth, the example is given of a bull. The bull has a ring through its nose, and to that ring in the nose is tied a rope, and that rope is tied to a peg in the grass, in the ground. Now you can simply graze around that peg in the ground. You will have no eustress, you will have no distress, and you will get a limited amount of grass. Or you can stretch the rope, and when you stretch the rope, you will feel a tug in your nose. So when you feel a tug in your nose, then you know you reach the end of the rope, and then you can graze in a wide circle, so you will get that much more grass. But if you keep pulling on that rope, then you will get bleeding from your nose, you will get ulceration in your nose, you will get a lot of pain in your nose. That is distress. So you have to learn to stretch the rope, but you have to learn not to cause pain to yourself. So therefore, you should learn to recognize eustress, which will help you to maximize the opportunities God has placed before you. And you have to learn to avoid distress. You have to understand there are some things in your control and there are some things that are not in your control. If something is in your control, please go and do it to the maximum extent possible. But if you feel that something is not in your control, just to give it up. Don't be mad after it. I always tell people that, you write down on a piece of paper, what is that problem which is not in your control? And when you perform Havan, just put that paper in the fire. That God, I'm leaving this issue to you. I've tried my best. Now I'm in distress. It's not in my control. So I'm giving this to you. And then stop thinking about it. And God will deal with it. This is my guarantee. Either it was never a problem, and God will make you realize that, or God will solve that problem for you. This I am assuring you. Any other questions?
Yes. Another question that we have, Dr. Shantanu, is that can staying away or being away from attachment, attaching yourself excessively to someone, give us peace? Not attaching yourself to someone excessively give you peace and, keep you away from stress?
No, I didn't get the question.
Okay. The question is, can staying away from attachments, being attached to people, help us not getting stressed?
This is ridiculous. Then you can go to the Himalayas, go to a cave, go into the forests, keep away from human beings, and you'll be free from stress. And at the first sign of something that happens, you will be in tremendous stress. I know of one person who wanted to be away from everybody. So this person went to the forest. But going to the forest is not a relief from stress. He left the town because mosquitoes were bothering him, and he went to the forest where there were no mosquitoes. So he was so happy that he could sleep. But while he was sleeping, a tiger came and ate him up. So you think you have problems in the world? Wait till you are on your own, then the real problems will show up. And still you will not have solved the situation in your life. You can't run away from your problems. You can't run away from your attachments. You cannot run away from anything. You have to stay there and you have to deal with it in an act of surrender to God, because God has placed you in certain situations and circumstances. Don't run away. Stay there. Do your duty. See God in the hearts of people around you. Don't run away. I hope that's clear.
Yes, Dr. Shantanu, that's absolutely clear. Thank you so much. I think these were the two questions that we have this week. We've got a couple of questions on, not couple of questions. We have a suggestion on Zoom that, today's topic was really good, and maybe you can dedicate another session to it, because, it's very, it's something that we all deal with on an everyday basis and we identify with it. So maybe next week also, if you want, you can continue with the same session.
Okay, we'll continue with the same session next time.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Shantanu. It was a lovely session. I look forward to next week. Hari Om, Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.